Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable, and I'm about to do a side-by-side comparison of two of my favourite shoes at the moment. They are the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4. I can never pronounce that correctly. Let me know in the comments if you have the same problem with that damn name of a shoe. And the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris, which is far easier to pronounce. So that wins. No, it doesn't. I've still got to run in them. So I'm going to let you know how they feel to run in side by side. I can tell you now, both super light shoes, both super responsive, and both incredibly fast. But I won't be going fast today. Well, not that fast anyway, because I did my half marathon on Sunday and still recovering a little bit from that. So anyway, I better get going, because I try and get these over and done quickly, because I get lots of weird looks why I've got completely different looking shoes on either foot. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so it's a bit windy today, so you might hear a bit of background noise. I haven't got my water bottle, you'll be glad to know, fiddler, so you won't hear that sloshing sound. And yeah, so we'll compare these shoes as I run. So straight off the bat, as I've already mentioned, both of these shoes really light. You can barely notice them on, but I can actually notice slightly how the Asics shoe is slightly lighter than the Pro 4. Not a lot in it though, right? They're so light, I wouldn't let weight be a decision maker one way or another for these shoes. Right, so in terms of springiness, again, very similar toe spring I'm getting from both. I feel like the Pro 4 slightly rocks me forward a bit more than the Asics shoe, which I'm getting most of the work being done by my foot at the moment with the toe spring. So those who like a rocker, like to be rocked forward, you're going to love the Adidas Pro 4. Right, we're going up a hill now. Let's see which I prefer going up a hill. And both are so light. It's a pleasure going up hills in them. And I don't say that very often. Yeah, I'm absolutely smashing this hill. Normally, I'm finding it very difficult to talk right now, but that was easy-ish anyway. So, I would say slightly Asics shoe wins on that hill, but again, I wouldn't die on that hill over that. There's not a lot to choose between the two, which surprises me actually. I think very similar. So one of the key differences I think between the shoes actually is the foam is a little bit firmer on the Sky Paris, and I feel like I slightly engage the plate in that shoe slightly more than the rods in the Adidas shoe, which is surprising because of how soft the foam is in the Adidas shoe. Don't get me wrong, I'm still engaging the rods. Just the Asics shoe, I can actually feel that plate flatten and then pin me back. It's a really nice feeling in the Asics shoe. And then with the Adidas shoe, I feel like the foam is what's making such a nice experience for me. I do wonder what this shoe would be like with a plate, a similar plate position to the Asics shoe. Could be an even better shoe maybe than the rods, I don't know. It might spoil the shoe completely, but it'd be interesting to see what that would be like. Anyway, going down the hill, both nice and cushioned on my feet, no problems there whatsoever. Let's pick up a bit of pace now. Let's see where these shoes take me. Oh wow, so easy to pick up the pace in these shoes. I'm like literally not trying here. And looking at my watch, I'm going below 4 km pace without even trying, which is incredible. So great shoes in terms of speed. I might actually prefer the Adidas shoe here. Actually, I feel like it's compressing and decompressing a little bit quicker. Similar though. Great shoes, both of them though. Right, I'm going to get up this hill and then I'm going to do a bit of heel striking and see how they are for you heel strikers, because I know that can be a big issue. The shoe that feels good for me, when you land on your heels, not so good. So we'll soon find out. Just get up this hill first. Don't fancy heel striking, going up a hill. Okay, heel striking now. Okay. Massive difference, guys. Huge difference. So, Asics shoe feels a lot more stable, a lot firmer on the heel, and I can actually feel the Adidas shoe foam splaying. I think I've shown you this on the video before. I can feel it spraying and bottoming a bit. The heel, the heel to forefoot transition so much better on the Asics shoe. It's like a different shoe, the Adidas shoe, when you heel strike. It really is. Let's try midfoot for a sec. Okay. Right. So I'm now hitting midfoot. Completely different shoe again on the Adidas side. Not much difference I'm feeling on the Asics shoe, but on the Adidas shoe starts to come alive when you get further up the shoe. So midfoot strikers, both of these shoes are going to be pretty good. Heel strikers, stay clear of the Adidas Pro 4. It's not your shoe, I'm afraid. Unless you can somehow make that work, but it doesn't feel great from my perspective. And I don't even heel strike, so for you guys who heel strike a lot more than me, you're not going to be happy, I don't think, with how that feels. Okay, so that is almost it, I would say. Both feel reasonably stable, but I don't have any stability issues, right? I don't really have any stability issues with my feet and ankles these days. I worked hard at correcting some ankle issues and seem to be working. Both seem fine, but I'm landing further forward, right? It'd be interesting to see in a marathon if I can get away without heel striking, because I don't think the Pro 4 is going to feel great, the Adidas Pro 4, at the end of the marathon if I'm heel striking. But yeah, all in all, both a couple of crackers here, particularly if you want to go fast, and particularly if you don't mind a narrow base. I feel like the Adidas Pro 4 Feels like it's got a wider base, feels a bit more substantial on my foot, feels like a little bit more stable for me in the forefoot, but there isn't much in it in terms of stability. And that is about it. So put in the comments if you've run in either of these shoes, what you think of them, if you like them, if you don't, if you're planning to use either of them for a race. I think if you land in your forefoot, either of these shoes is going to be an absolute winner for racing. Both very quick, both really good at going up hills like I'm doing now. Could pick either for a hilly race and they'd be great. Protected enough to go down hills. Just remember the Adidas shoe, not great for heel striking, and it has a softer foam, so you're going to get a little bit more lateral medial movement. And then with the Asics shoe, you've got that narrower landing base, slightly firmer foam. So it's all about what you prefer, really. I like them both. Is that being greedy? Maybe. Don't care. I'm glad I've got both of these shoes. I think with the Asics shoe, I could do some serious damage in a 10k or half marathon. I have raced 10k in this shoe and got close to PB. My PB is still in the Endorphin Elite, actually, Saucony Endorphin Elite, but it was very close. And I feel like both of these shoes, 10k half marathon, would be great. I slightly think the Pro 4 might be better at 5k, but I'm not sure, to be honest. Anyway, see you later. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable, and this is my comparison review of the Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4 and the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. So in this video I'll be reviewing and comparing these two shoes. We'll go through the key stats around the shoes, we'll look at key categories and how they rate compared to each other. And then I'll talk about some racing experiences I've had in these shoes and give you an idea of who these shoes would be best for. And overall, I'm going to pick one shoe that I think is the better shoe when it comes to racing. And these are, after all, super racing shoes. So it will be the shoe that I would take on half marathons, potentially 5k and 10k. Which of these shoes, if I had to pick one for all those events, would I pick? Okay, so let me get into the stats around the shoes. So with the Adidas Pro 4, you've got a 39mm stack height in the heel. You've got a 33mm stack height in the forefoot. So you've got a 6mm drop. So you've got a nice wedge of foam under the forefoot, which is where I like it. I land around here. And if you're a heel striker, you're well protected. Heel striking in this shoe is a problem, and we're going to go through that in a bit more detail. So we'll wait for that section of this review, but just from the outset, I'm going to be reviewing this as predominantly a forefoot striker. In longer races, I do move back to the midfoot, but I rarely heel strike, so just bear that in mind. I'm also not a heavy runner. I'm around 63 kg at the moment. I've just done a half marathon in this shoe and I was roughly about 63 kg. and I'm not a big guy, you know, I'm 5'9". So when I land in either of these shoes, I don't land with the same kind of force that somebody who's 6'4" and 14 stone, right? So I want you to bear that in mind. Although saying that, I have purposely tried to heel strike in both shoes, and I have an idea of which are better for heel strikers, but we'll cover that in a bit. Okay, in terms of weight in the Adidas Pro 4, we've got a weight of about 204 grams in my UK size 9. I went true to size. Arguably, you could go up half a size. I'm glad I didn't, although I did get a bit of pressure in my toe at the Victoria Half Marathon on Sunday, but it's not too bad now. And I think the negatives of going up half a size in terms of potential problems with lockdown outweigh, you know, the kind of positives of less kind of aggravation of my toes. So for me, I'm glad I went true to size. If you're on the edge of a size though, let's say that you normally pick 8.5, but you're very close to being a 9, you should go up half a size, right? And so this is, as we'll talk about the upper in a bit, it's not the most spacious toe box at the top of the shoe. Okay, so there are key stats around the Adidas Pro 4. The Metaspeed Sky Paris, you've got a similar stack height actually, but this time you've got 40 in the heel, you've got 34 under the forefoot, so a millimetre more, and you know, a 6mm drop again, so similar drops. You've got a weight though that's quite a bit less, which is incredible since this is only 204 grams of 184 grams in my UK size 9. So it's, you know, you've got a substantial weight difference there, and it's mainly because this is such a light shoe. What I would say though is I haven't really noticed the weight difference on each shoe. I think when you get below a certain point, it's very hard to notice the difference. I just feel like perhaps if you're doing a hilly half marathon or marathon, then you might notice the difference. And we'll go on to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of these shoes going forward. So that's the stack height and the weight. Let's go through the uppers in the shoes. So again, let's start with the Pro 4. You've got this nice engineered, very lightweight upper. It is, you can see through it. I think, what's the right word? Transparent or translucent, I think. You can definitely see my fingers there, look, see? So if you've got bright socks on, you'll see through this, particularly in this colorway. You've got decent amount of room in this part of the forefoot, and then it gradually tapers until you get to quite a narrow point here, which has got this reinforced material here to make this a bit tougher, and so if you bang your toe or something, this will protect your toes a little bit. It does unfortunately cause issues that though, and it might have been better not really to have had it in the first place, because what I found on my half marathon was, because it's a bit stiffer, this material up here, it was rubbing against my big toe and causing me some irritation. My toe's perfectly fine now, no black nail or anything like that, just it was noticeable on that run. Around about at the 15k mark I started to notice it, so just bear that in mind. And again, going back to the sizing conversation, it might make you think about going a size, half a size up. In terms of everything else around the upper, it's got a nice tongue with a nice pillow here. It's not quite the, so Adidas, if in the future, if you could bring this a bit further up, that would be better, because when I cinch the laces, I kind of miss this pillow. That said, I had no lace bite on the top of my foot. I had really nice lockdown in this shoe. There's not a lot of padding in the collar actually, or in the heel for that matter. And the heel count is very loose, as you can see here. That doesn't seem to matter in terms of lockdown. I had very good lockdown, no kind of foot movement whatsoever. So in terms of the upper, the only thing I would say against this upper is the slight rubbing of my toes. and also the laces. As usual, Adidas bring out these cheap laces that are actually quite short. So if you're doing a runner's knot, you can't get a very big bow in your laces. So just bear that in mind if you double tie them. So, but all in all, very good upper. I'd probably score this upper about 4.5 out of 5. With the Asics shoe, you've got slightly less volume in the forefoot. You can see here this difference. It's not huge, but certainly across this part, you've got a lot more width here in the Adidas shoe. So for people with wider feet, I think the Adidas shoe is going to be slightly better. That said, I've got a bit of a wide foot. I don't have any issues in this, mainly because this upper expands to my foot's shape. So it's a very nice upper with lots of perforations you see there, very breathable. Amazing laces, probably the best laces going, a bit like the Nike Alpha Fly laces. When you cinch them tight, they stay tight. No issues whatsoever with the laces. The tongue's a bit loose and flimsy. I prefer the Adidas tongue. But that said, I had no lace bite when I tied these, cinched them quite tight. And then you've got a little bit more padding around the collar. By no means extensive, but a little bit more than with the Adidas shoe. You can probably see the difference here. You see it's a bit more, there's a little bit more padding here. The same with the heel. And you've got more of a rigid heel counter. Still not completely rigid. You see I can push it in, but a bit more of a rigid heel counter. Got great lockdown in this shoe, no issues whatsoever. Again, good upper. I would probably score this 4.5 out of 5 as well. So it's a tie in terms of the upper. Okay, just gonna have a quick coffee. Oh, that tastes good. Right, let's talk about the outsole. So this Lighttraxxion outsole that's new on the Adidas Pro 4 is a really nice rubber compound that's very grippy. You've still got a little strip of continental rubber there. Not really sure why they bothered with that, but I guess it's so that it can still say there is some continental rubber on there for the elite athletes that care about that. For me, I don't care about that because I find this rubber, this Lighttraxxion rubber is amazing. I ran, like I said, Victoria Park. It was -1 when we set off and it was freezing cold. The ground was frosted and this outsole did an amazing job. You've got this cutout here, didn't bother me one little bit, and you see the rods actually poking through there. So you can see that this hasn't got a carbon plate, it's got carbon rods, and there's a key difference with the Asics shoe. So all in all, a great outsole. The only issue is for heel strikers, you have this cutout here, and then when you land, if you land and you're quite heavy at landing, it will splay and you get this squashy squelching sound, and it feels like a bit unstable and a little bit like it's sucking the ground. Literally sucks. So for heel strikers, you may be not so pleased with this part of the outsole, and you maybe wished, like I think they should have done, to be honest, they'd have filled this in a bit and made it a little bit more stable. But you've got decent width here to land on. If you compare that with the Asics shoe a minute, you can see it's a wider shoe to land on. So you win some, you lose some, but it's not the greatest bit of this shoe, and that cutout certainly doesn't help. But all in all, for the vast majority of people, I think this outsole is going to be great and grippy, do its job, protect the foam, and I think I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 again. It would have been a 5 if it wasn't for this area here. Okay, right, and now with the Asics shoe, you've got less rubber on the outsole here. It's very good and very grippy, but you've got less of it, and so there could be problems in terms of durability. You've got a lot of exposed foam here, and you've got very little more reinforced rubber at the heel. So again, I think this is going to be better outsole for forefoot landers. You've got the majority of the rubber here. It's very grippy. I had no problems whatsoever. I've raced in frosty ground in this as well, and it was fine. I think it's just slightly one notch below the Adidas shoe. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 instead of 4.5, but it's by no means bad. It's better than a lot of the racing shoes outsoles out there. I just wish they wouldn't be so obsessed with weight and added a little bit of rubber around this area here, and then we could protect the foam a little bit more. But 4 out of 5, it's not bad. By any means, it's decent outsole. The midsole, 2 areas to talk about here. Foam, well, 3 areas. The foam, the geometry, and obviously the rods in the Adidas shoe. So the foam, first and foremost, is a very soft, bouncy foam that gives you a massive amount of energy return, compresses, decompresses very quickly. Me as a lighter runner, I engaged the rods that you see here. They splay like this. They're meant to mimic your metatarsal. And I could feel getting the benefits of those rods as I landed with force on my forefoot. This pronounced rocker here that's been moved backwards from 70% from the Pro 3 to 60%, means that where I strike, I'm getting that benefit of that rocker almost immediately, and it's rolling me forward. And then I get a nice toe spring as well because of this soft foam, but also the rods. I get this nice springy sensation as I toe forward. So for me, the geometry works, the foam's amazing, and also the rods I'm engaging, which I can't always say with carbon plates. There's some shoes that I just feel like I'm not engaging the plate because I'm not a heavy runner. Downsides again is obviously going to be the heel. This foam is very soft, and because of the way they've done this cutout, it's going to splay like we talked about, and it's going to suck, literally suck. So if you're a heel striker, again, you're going to have potential issues with this. I know that some of the reviewers have talked about that issue. It doesn't happen to me. I think if you're a midfoot, forefoot striker, you'll be fine. If you're a midfoot striker though, just bear in mind at the end of a marathon, if you're planning to use these for a marathon, you may well be back here and you may be experience that squelching, sucking sensation that all heel strikers will feel in this shoe. And you may wish, like them, that this area had been filled in a little bit. But all in all, for me, I absolutely love it. I think the foam is amazing. It's only because of this I'm going to mark it half a mark down. So I'm going to say 4.5 out of 5 for the Adidas shoe in terms of the midsole. The Sky Paris, so the foam is a bit firmer. You've got a plate instead of rods. You can see the plate line there, so it's quite high. This means, again, for me as a lighter runner, because it's higher up, I'm feeling the plate. Whereas on the edge, I don't feel it. The Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, I don't feel the plate as much. So because I'm feeling that plate, I'm getting a really nice toe spring off in this shoe. I don't find the foam too firm, but it is firmer than the Adidas shoe. If you like really soft foam, you're going to prefer the foam in this. If you like it a little bit firmer, then this will feel a lot more stable because of the foam, and it will feel a lot more like you would like if you like a firmer foam, because this certainly isn't foam, right? Yeah, firm. This has got nowhere near as pronounced a rocker, as you can see. So a lot of the work you do in this shoe is to do with your toe spring and how springy that is, and it really is a springy shoe. It's great for going up hills. This foam and the placement of the plate springs you up. There's no shoe like it out on the market, I don't think, for going up hills. So if you've got a hilly marathon or half marathon, or even 5 or 10K, this would be my first choice out of the box straight away. this will give you the propulsion up those hills that you need. It's super light, super bouncy, you get lots of energy return. It compresses, decompresses even quicker than this shoe. So all in all, fabulous midsole, great plate placement even for people like me who land further forward and like a good toe spring. So love this shoe to bits and love the midsole. Again, I'm going to vote this 4.5 out of 5. It's right up there with the best. The only thing that I'm marking it down for, if you've wondered, is I would prefer a little bit more of a rocker like you get in the Edge, so I can roll forward a bit more in this shoe. I'm feeling like my foot is doing a bit more work in this shoe than, say, the Adidas shoe. And at the end of the marathon, that might make it feel a bit tired and have some repercussions. But I still think this is a potentially good marathon shoe, as is the Adidas Pro 4. So that's the midsole. So let's talk about some other categories. So let's talk about durability. So I think because of the rubber coverage, extra rubber coverage, and how this rubber is actually a bit harder and firmer, I think I'll give the edge, I'll give the edge to the Adidas shoe. I think over the Sky Paris, I just feel like that's going to have a bearing. The softer foam though may break down a little bit more than the Asics shoe, but I just feel like this exposed area here is already seeing some degradation, and I think longer term, you know, if you bought this shoe, you should only use this for racing. Whereas this one, I think you could use it a little bit more for some training runs, just because it's well protected. The foam is well protected. Durability. Price, exactly the same price. They're going to score the same. You know, I would score them both 5 out of 5 for racing shoes at £220. Compare them to shoes like the Cielo at £250, the Endorphin Elite and Elite 2 at £280, the Super Comp from New Balance, Fuel Cell Super Comp version 4 £250. I mean, these are relatively cheap compared to those shoes, so I think I would score them both 5 for price. In terms of speed, and this is kind of, I guess, a key category for those that are listening, they're both very similar in terms of performance actually, but they get there in different ways, right? And that, I think this is important. So those of you that like a rocker, pronounced rocker, that like to be rocked forward and like a bit of a toe spring and like softer foam, you'll get a lot out of this shoe, and it propels you, it really propels you nicely forward. And I got my half PB in this shoe just 2 days ago now, 1:18. That's 3 minutes off my previous PB that was set a month earlier. So there wasn't even a big gap between the two. And a lot of that is down to this shoe, how nice and bouncy and propulsive, and how much energy return you get from it. This is a fast shoe, a shoe that I would gladly use over 5, 10K, half marathons, maybe even marathon, depending on whether I have any toe issues or not. And that's something I've got to decide. I might use this for a 20 miler and then I'll know for sure. If we go to this shoe, another rapid shoe, I just feel because of the lack of the rocker over those shorter distances like 5 and 10K, I feel the Adidas shoe has the edge. I think where they kind of join and diverge, not diverge, where they meet in the middle, I think is around about that half marathon distance, where I think they'll both be equally effective. I've run several 10Ks in this shoe, and it's a great, don't get me wrong, it's a great shoe for 10K. I just feel like the sweet spot for this shoe, it will be the half marathon, potentially marathon if you can get over the fact it's very narrow. I think that's the sweet spot. I'd love to run a half in this and know for sure. But I think the quicker shoe over the shorter distances is going to be the Adidas Pro 4. And that might surprise you because of the weight and everything. I just feel this is an incredible shoe that has the best of both worlds. It's got the very responsive foam, but it's got this amazing rocker. That said, if you're a heel striker, you can throw away everything I've just said, and you probably get on better with the Sky, because it's not got a silly cutout here, and you're not going to suck the ground, and it's going to transition a lot better from heel to forefoot for you. So that's my comparison in terms of speed. All in all, in terms of stability, and that's probably my last category I want to talk about, you've got the softer foam here, so you would think this be less stable, but then you've got a wider base to land on. So I feel like the firmer foam here is going to sit well with a lot of people, but the narrowness of the landing pad won't. I'm nervous of taking this to marathon distance because of how narrow it is. My form has to be really good. In terms of this, I think because my ankles are strong enough, and so the foam, I know because it's soft, I'm going to get some left or right, lateral and medial movements. I think they're okay to handle that, and the width is perfectly fine for me to go the marathon distance. So with that in mind, I would say the Adidas shoe slightly wins on stability. If we were going to vote them out 5, I would say this would be a 4 out of 5, and this would be a 3.5 out of 5. Neither have got particularly, neither are stable neutral shoes. They're neutral shoes. They haven't got sidewalls, either of them. There's no real sidewalls anywhere. They rely on the upper to keep your foot in place and get a good lockdown. And I think those of you with real stability issues may want to miss out on both of these shoes and go for something that's a little bit more stable, like the Cielo X1 or the New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp V4. Those type of shoes, they're a bit more, or the Saucony Pro 4, that are a bit more stable. I wouldn't class these as stable, but I would say Adidas just pips it because of the wider landing base that you've got. Again, caveat, if you're a heel striker, you're not going to find this a stable shoe because of that, as we've just talked about extensively in this review. So that's my category debrief of the two shoes. Now, with a marathon in mind, I think I'm edging towards the Adidas Pro 4. Half marathon, I think there'll be equally good shoes. You just depending on what you like, firmer plate or softer rods. It all depends. If you're an Asics person or you're an Adidas person, I think at half they're going to be very similar. Shorter distances though, I think the Adidas shoe has the edge. Sorry to use that again. Has the edge at 10k and possibly 5k over the Asics shoe. Talking about edge, I think over those two distances, the 5 and 10k, the Metaspeed Edge Paris would have something to say about that, and I will do a comparison over those distances with this shoe, and that will happen soon. But in terms of the Sky Paris, I feel that's where we lie. So for me, this is more likely to be on my feet for the London Marathon, and potentially this could well be on my feet for my next half marathon. I hope that all makes sense. The winner today is the Adidas Pro 4. This is a shoe I would recommend out of the two, as long as you're not a heel striker and as long as you haven't got huge stability concerns about the soft foam. Otherwise, if you're neither of those, you're going to absolutely love this shoe to bits, and it's rapidly becoming one of my favorite shoes of all time, along with the Cielo and along with the Primate Strung. And that's all I want to say today. Watch the run footage. I've done a little run with one shoe on one foot and one on the other, and you get more of an idea of what it felt like to run in these shoes side by side. Take care. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.